Hi, my name is Lexi. Welcome back to my channel. And today I want to talk about 3 things about alternate day fasting that I hear all the time that I believe are misconceptions. Okay, so to some degree, this is my opinion, but I believe that these sort of ideas that are circulated around about alternate day fasting can either make someone not want to try it at all, and it could be someone who could really benefit from alternate day fasting, or it's something that could make someone start for the wrong reasons. So I just wanted to share my thoughts, and I hope that this is helpful to someone out there. I also want to state that I personally believe that alternate day fasting is not for everyone, and so that's not what I'm trying to say here, but just that I hope that whoever could really benefit from alternate day fasting isn't scared off by one of these ideas. So I'll go ahead and share the first one, which is that alternate day fasting is extreme. I hear this one all the time. I hear it from people who have been fasting for a while, usually people who are either doing some kind of daily window. And they'll say, I don't want to try anything extreme like alternate day fasting. And I get it. I really do, because I used to think the same thing. Back when I first heard about alternate day fasting, I thought it was really crazy, honestly. I have shared before that I used to watch videos with Steve, the alternate day faster, and I think his videos are awesome. He did alternate day fasting for a whole year and documented it. And he did true alternate day fasting. So he fasted one day and then ate the next and just, rotated that way. And so I thought that that just sounded absolutely crazy and undoable and unmanageable. And I thought there's no way that I would ever do that. And here I am. I have been alternate day fasting for over 2.5 years now. So obviously my opinion has changed. And I do see where that perception comes from, because it does sound very extreme. In fact, when people ask me about what I do, I'm really hesitant to share because I know that it sounds crazy. But here's the thing. If you look at it in comparison to somebody who does a daily window of intermittent fasting, it's really not as much as you think. So I tend to fast between 130 to 135 hours a week. And I know this because I have tracked my fasting since I started on the Life app. Okay. So when you take those hours of fasting and you divide it over 7 days, that equals out to between 18 and a half to around 19 hours of fasting a day. So the equivalent of someone who's doing between an 18.6 and a 19.5. And so like when you hear about those protocols, most people don't think those sound extreme at all. But because with alternate day fasting, you're doing more fasting at once, it just sounds a lot more overwhelming. But typically you're having a longer eating window on your eating days. And for me personally, because I do 4-3, so I'm actually eating Saturday and Sunday back to back. Even sometimes I do 5-2, or I only have 2 full day fasts a week. Because of that, I have longer eating windows and it all evens out. So in terms of fasting hours, alternate day fasting is really not that extreme. But I do want to mention that for some people in some stages of their life, alternate day fasting may be too much. It may be too much in one chunk of time, just because of the way it interacts with your body and your particular needs. So I just want to state that fact and put that out there. But I find what's really funny about a lot of people who will say this are people who are actually doing OMAD, because OMAD in terms of, or 1 meal a day, in terms of fasting hours tends to be way more extreme than alternate day fasting. Because if you are actually eating your meal within, say, a 1 hour eating window every day, then you're actually fasting around 161 hours a week. And so that is about 30 hours longer than what I fast in a week. That's an entire extra day of fasting hours plus some. So you can see how, if you look at it differently, it's not as extreme as you think. All right, the second misconception is that ADF is unsustainable. Now, I want to go at this from a different angle. When people say that alternate day fasting is unsustainable, I believe that most people who say that are looking at it in a very narrow way. In the way that if you start alternate day fasting, you have to stick to your pattern and you need to repeat it and you need to do it forever. I don't believe that at all. I think some people will do alternate day fasting for a period of time. Maybe their body needs some extra healing. Also, it may not be the right time, as I mentioned before. Maybe if you're a younger woman in your 20s or early 30s, alternate day fasting may be too much for you, even for a little while. But then again, some people will really benefit because of the particular health needs that they have. But the other thing that I want to point out is just that you need to be flexible. And since I've been doing this for a long time, I've definitely been flexible. And that has been the main and only reason that I have stuck with this as long as I have. If I go on vacation, I change my schedule. If I have people coming to stay with us, I change my schedule. If I have any kind of social thing going on that is important to me to eat, I change my schedule. So it's very important to be flexible and to know that being rigid about it is not sustainable. That's what's not sustainable. But as far as working those full day fasts into your fasting lifestyle, whether you do it once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, and continue that pattern on a monthly basis, like as your regular fasting protocol, or if you just do it every now and then, that's what alternate day fasting is. It is a tool that you can use in your intermittent fasting toolbox. Whether you use it more or less, it doesn't matter. So as far as it being unsustainable, that is all just a matter of how you approach it. Because if you are super rigid and you say that I am only going to eat every other day and I'm going to fast every other day and I'm not going to deviate from that, I do believe that's unsustainable. Definitely, because you have to listen to your body, you have to work into your lifestyle and make it sustainable. I also want to mention, along with that, I believe that part of what makes it unsustainable for people is if they get burned out too quickly. And the way that happens is if you jump into it without any prior fasting experience and you just hit it hard right away. I don't believe that's the right way, especially for women. I think you need to ease into it. You need to give yourself some practice with fasting, build your fasting muscle, let your body adapt. Some people might get away with it and be okay, but I think that for the most part, it just doesn't work out that way. And again, with the flexibility, I believe that's true of any fasting protocol, even if you're like 16/8, which is pretty, generous as far as eating hours, there's still going to be times that you have to deviate from what your normal schedule is. Flexibility is key with any fasting schedule. Okay, now the third misconception is one that I think actually draws people to alternate day fasting, and that is that you will lose weight really fast. And that is just not the case with a lot of people, if not most people. Now, it does happen, and it's what you see on YouTube videos, these big splashy claims, and I'm not saying that they're not true, but it's what draws people in, like I lost 20 pounds in a month, I lost 60 pounds in 6 months, like these big, huge amounts of weight that are lost really quickly, because most people are just used to this diet mentality that we need to lose weight fast. We need to have these results fast. It's what you see on the cover of magazines. It's what you see in social media. It's just what is perpetuated because it draws your attention. And I'm really careful not to put those types of claims on my videos. For one, because I have not lost weight quickly. And if you've been following me for a long time, then you know that I did lose weight steadily on my first 9 months of ADF. But then I slowly regained a little bit due to some different factors. And I have re-lost that weight very slowly, like painfully slowly. And this is just something that happens. And for some people, they don't even lose weight at all right away. And the reason that is because there's different things in their body that have to heal. Maybe some really, really strong insulin resistance that needs to, kind of diminish. And that can take time. And there's just everybody's body is so different. And everyone's diet history is different. And if you are coming off of, some severe calorie restriction, or, you're going off of keto and you're eating carbs again, you have to take all of that into consideration when looking at how quickly you're going to lose weight. And even then, you can't really predict what the rate is going to be. So I just want to put that out there that, you have these expectations, but they're not always going to be exactly what you think. And so you have to look at this as a very long haul. And again, I wouldn't suggest starting with alternate day fasting. I would start off with, say, a 16-8, get used to that and work your way up to alternate day fasting. And for me personally, I did struggle to lose weight with just intermittent fasting. It didn't really work for me in that way. And it was alternate day fasting that kickstarted my steady weight loss. And I just think that it was what my body needed, but I had already adapted to fasting at that point, and it just really kicked it into gear. And so that will happen for some people, but it doesn't happen for everyone. And so you really need to look at the other factors and notice if there's any changes that are happening that are positive in your life beyond weight loss, because those are the things that are going to keep you going. And for me, like, one of the major things is that when I started alternate day fasting, I got sick way less. And I used to be someone who got sick all the time. I constantly had a cold, it felt like, and I got multiple ear infections, and I was just always sick. And since I started alternate day fasting, which has been 2.5 years ago, I have been sick a handful of times, if that, maybe like 3 times, and like not even that bad. So for me, that's a huge, huge change that, like, even when I feel like I'm a little burned out and I'm just not that motivated, that's something that really keeps me going. And I know that it's a huge benefit to my body. So the bottom line is you can't compare your results to someone else's. Your journey is going to be very different from someone else's journey, and you can only compare yourself to yourself. And I just wanted to mention that one because I think that a lot of people come to alternate day fasting, or even fasting in general, with this idea of this rapid, impressive, crazy weight loss, and they can be extremely disappointed. And if it doesn't happen, then they'll quit because they'll say, well, it didn't work for me, without looking at all of those other factors of what it's doing for your overall health. And I can tell you that for sure, there may be other tweaks that you have to make the weight loss happen. There may be something happening internally that needs to be healed. Maybe you need to look at the food you're eating and adjust it and cut out certain things that are not serving you. And I'm not talking about doing any kind of like extreme or rigid diet. I'm just talking about looking at the individual things that you're eating and asking yourself how you feel after you eat those things. And it can be something that is considered healthy, because everyone's body is so, so different. And I hope that's the message that I'm getting across. And I just felt like it was important to put those things out there, to set expectations appropriately, and to clear some things up that I feel like are misconceptions. So I hope that helps you, and I will talk to you guys next week. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.